Hello and a very warm welcome to our brand new program, Dubai Tonight. I'm Darine Abu Gaida. Each week you'll have a ringside seat as we talk tough with guests ranging from CEOs to statesmen, politicians to playwrights, royalty to rock stars. And we want you to get involved. Who would you like to see in the hot seat? And what topics matter to you the most? Do send us your suggestions to Dubai Tonight at dmi.ae. Plus, you can check out our shows online anytime. That's at dubai1.ae. Well, to kick things off, a subject that affects every single person living in the Emirate today. If you rent, own, or even design and build properties in Dubai, our first show is essential viewing for you. Over the next half hour, we'll be covering every aspect of the real estate and engineering industry, from how it's surviving the recession to how you can capitalize on property prices at these levels. We'll bring you all these answers and of course much more from the UAE's biggest construction company, Arab Tech. Well, the man controlling the purse strings at the firm, Chief Financial Officer Ziad Makhzoumi, will join me. Well, let's set the scene and take a look at the city we see built around us today.
One man, one vision. One country transformed from sand dunes to city in less than a decade. The numbers, like the speed of progress, will make your head spin. Dubai boasts an estimated 470 skyscrapers, with a further 300 under construction. Whilst Dubai's real estate market has undergone a massive correction in the past 12 months, consultants CB Richard Ellis are keen to silence the critics who say the property market's foundations are built on sand.
Dubai has a continuing advantage over the rest of Middle Eastern competitive cities at the moment because it has a level of investment and infrastructure that no one else in the region has been able to match thus far.
At the very backbone of the Emirates' expansion is Dubai's construction industry, a sector dominated in the UAE by industry titan Arab Tech. The company has felt the financial pinch in recent years as raw material costs soared as the housing boom took flight. However, today's cooler economic climate, says investment bank EFG Hermes, is making it easier to build within a budget.
Construction costs have fallen by about 30% on average since peaks last year. In particular, cement and steel have come down. As a result, larger construction companies are able to push ahead with execution quite smoothly and also benefit from higher profitability.
Lower construction costs, improved lending conditions and more affordable prices for consumers are the very cornerstones upon which Dubai's real estate industry is building its future success. Which is all well and good, but are those much-needed buyers really out there? A resounding yes, said real estate consultants Jones Lang LaSalle at this year's Cityscape. Their latest research showing there are currently more buyers than sellers in this market, and the findings are trickling right down to the high street. Marian Abuthina of Better Homes explains.
We've seen a significant increase over the last 3 months of around 30% in sales and mortgages. And if this trend continues, then 2010 is looking very good.
Dubai holds fast to the theory, build it and they will come. And with the Emirate ranking #1 in the World Economic Forum's latest survey on competitiveness and availability of quality real estate assets, it would appear that the sun has far from set on this story. Rebecca McLaughlin, Dubai Tonight.
Ziad, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Ziad, so against the backdrop of the global financial crisis and this real estate slowdown that we've been seeing, many construction companies have failed. Why?
Well, I mean, many construction, because a lot of them are either related to a specific market or a specific sector that they are working in. In our case, I mean, we were lucky that there was an incredible boom in Dubai. I mean, the last few years have been really incredible. As we said, you had a program that other countries will take possibly 10 to 20 years to implement, where in Dubai it was done in a matter of years. So in that sense, we were very, very lucky to be here. I mean, we're a very good company, but if the opportunity was not there, created in Dubai, we would not have succeeded in achieving. So we were there at the right time when the opportunity came to us, or came to everybody else, and we're one of the people that benefited from that.
But these companies that weren't able to make it, I mean, did it surprise you that they still floundered, and that's despite initiatives that were put in place by the government here to really help them?
Well, I mean, again, I mean, if you're, again, this should not be seen as a negative statement on others. Everything you have to do is plan and see what is coming. I mean, if you're too focused, too concentrated all the time, and you miss the signs that things are changing. So if people did not anticipate the change, we did last year. I mean, that was my first job as a CFO, to start planning for the downturn, because the whole world was collapsing. It's got nothing to do with Dubai.
Yeah.
Dubai, I mean, if you see what we are doing, our program, we were lucky because we're still carrying on with the projects that we started 2 and 3 years ago. So that's really what helped us. But meanwhile, we knew that things are going to change. So we started planning. We expanded in Abu Dhabi, we expanded in Qatar, we expanded in Saudi Arabia, and now we're looking at other markets too. So anybody who did not make that change is suffering now.
What lures you to the world of construction, and why should we know Arab Tech as a name?
Well, I mean, nothing lured me. I mean, what lured me really is the amazing leader, that CEO, the CEO of Arab Tech, Mr. Riyad Kamal, his personality and his vision. And we actually spent, funnily enough, a few hours having lunch in Nice before we both decided that we want to work together. So it was the personality and not just the sector. And of course the sector was interesting because
it's often quite turbulent. It's a very turbulent world of construction.
Yeah, but I mean, I love challenges. I mean, I love things when things are either going extremely well and you want to accelerate them, or going not well and you need your expertise and help. I mean, if everything was fine and dandy, as they say, I don't think they would have needed somebody like me to come in and possibly help and give some experience that I've had over the years in working in the Middle East and in North America and in Europe and so on.
Okay, so why should we know Arab Tech? I see the branding all over Dubai. Why should we know it?
Well, for many reasons. I mean, I was asked this question, and there are 2 reasons. First of all, we have built possibly the most monumental buildings in Dubai. I mean, Burj Dubai. Riyad Kamal, Mr. Riyad Kamal, our CEO, who started his first job in the 70s in the UAE, built the first tallest, I mean, then was the tallest building, which is 17 floors. So it seems the company has this history of taking on projects that others probably will shy away from or not confident enough to do so. When Burj Dubai was an option, we did it. Now we're building also the tallest 2 buildings in Saudi Arabia, in Jeddah, which is the Lamar Towers.
Let me stop you right here, because I do want to talk about Burj Dubai and other projects. So let me just go to a break and we'll pick this up right after.
Okay.
So just before the break, we touched upon your company, Arab Tech. Now let's just put the firm in the bigger picture. Consolidation is naturally a consequence of the global recession. So who are you looking to snap up?
Well, we're not looking to snap up anybody, but I mean, we're always looking for opportunities. I mean, the first thing we did last year is restructure our balance sheet. So when everybody was paying cash dividends, we didn't. We issued share bonuses, we increased our capital, we restructured our balance sheet to make it more solid and can sustain our growth that we want. We talked to our banks and so on. We have many opportunities. We're looking at many, but we're not snapping any yet.
Well, one of the opportunities, actually, one of your projects that's currently being developed is the Burj Dubai. Residents are holding their breath for that opening. It's meant to happen in December. Is that a realistic deadline? And what was the biggest engineering challenge that you faced building the tallest building in the world?
There wasn't a challenge per se. It's just that you're building a building taller than anything else on Earth. So you have to make sure that you get your calculations right, which we did. We had a very good partner. I mean, one of them is Samsung and others. So in that sense, it was a challenge because it's a vertical community, more or less. But otherwise, it's like any other building. It's just that it's taller and bigger.
What about the December deadline? Is that something that's going to we're going to see?
As you know, we are the builders. We're not the owners of the project, and that's a function of what Amar wants to do. But I mean, the press states that that will be the case. We believe it will be. I mean, if you go into the whole area is being transformed very quickly. So I believe it will be.
I want to shift over now to real estate prices in Dubai. Now, Donald Trump Jr., whose company is involved in a joint venture with Nakheel on the Palm Jumeirah, he's told us here at Dubai One that, quote, Dubai will continue to be a unique place in the Gulf region as a hub for the international community and its capital. However, it will be a long time until Dubai prices reach the peaks we saw in 2008. Do you agree? And has the real estate market turned a corner?
Well, I mean, the prices we achieved last year were extremely high, in many cases unjustified. The same with the price of oil going to 140 plus. I mean, it did happen, shouldn't have happened or not, but it did happen. So one of the things that we should not, I think, look at is compared to the peak. I think we should look at the growth. Price of oil 2 years ago was less than 30, and now we're close to 70 plus. So there is a growth, and I think just making that sweeping statement that things will take a long time. I mean, I think it will return to a higher level than it is now. I don't know if it will reach the same height or even higher.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to predict at this stage when it will happen. And I don't think it's going to be a long time. I think we're beginning to see the shift. Now there is more demand in the market and the prices are beginning to shift. And it depends on the area. I mean, if you want beachfront property.
Well, actually, let me ask you about that now. My next question to you is, what would you tell people, those that have bought, sold, are looking to buy or looking to sell in Dubai? What would you tell them? Is this the right time to do it?
Well, I think, I mean, if you want to sell, definitely, I don't think it's the right time if you can afford, because of the sentiment about the market. Everybody assumes that things will get worse, which I don't believe it will be the case. There definitely has to be some adjustments, further adjustments. But I don't think everywhere. I mean, if you want a villa on the beach, there are very few of them. So it depends on the location and what is want. But again, the mix in Dubai does not necessarily cater for everyone. So not everybody wants to live in a 10-bedroom villa on the beachfront.
So you say the sentiment is really the
Well, I think it is sentiment and realization. I mean, if you're short of cash, you might have to sell your assets. But I mean, what I understand is same in London.
Yeah.
For example, I mean, there aren't enough sellers in good properties, and I think it'll be the same here in Dubai.
Here's a query that a real estate broker wants to ask you, but he's asking on behalf of an investor. Let's just listen.
Hi Ziad, one of the questions I'm asked by investors is the living standards of construction workers in Dubai, particularly labour camps. How would you respond to that question?
What's your response to that question?
Well, I mean, it was in the news, and the Panorama BBC did have, in my view, a biased program about because we were not interviewed. And they took snapshots of certain things that were going wrong. For example, they took a picture of the floods that Dubai had for a couple of weeks, and they claimed that that is sewage seeping out of the, out of the system. We abide by the requirements of Dubai and the minimum standard of living. If you go visit our site, our labor camps, we did invite the media to go in and visit. Not all labor camps are of the same standard, because over the years, as Dubai grew very quickly, there are certain areas where we had our labor camps that we're not allowed to expand, build, and so on, and we slowly moved them out.
Ziad, let me ask you, have you invested in Dubai?
Yes, I'm here, basically. Not in real estate.
You haven't invested in real estate?
For a simple reason, I mean, I own real estate in other countries.
Let me just take a break and come back to you shortly after this. Well, Ziad, on any given day, I mean, just as we're doing here, you and I, you'll hear people discussing the real estate market out on the streets in Dubai and the property market. Everyone, from mortgage lenders to developers, end users, everyone wants certain questions answered. So here's what someone from Standard Chartered Bank is wondering. Let's listen.
Hi Ziad, I was wondering, we have seen a growing number of regulation concerning green building, and the government has tried to actually strengthen that area. Do you see that as a constraint or an avenue of growth for your industry?
It's talking about green building and energy.
Well, on the contrary, I think it's a good thing to have. I mean, we are all responsible for our environment and to keep it in a relatively better state than we found it many years ago, if we can, because we caused so much damage to this earth. Actually, only last week we had a joint venture arrangement what they call the eco blocks, which is very popular in Canada and in the US, where it cuts down on insulation, on heating, on recycling. It's almost 100% recyclable product. The regulations are there. The vision of Sheikh Mohammed for Dubai is to be a leading center for innovation and so on. And we abide by the requirements of the government, we abide by the requirements of the developer. But at the end of the day, we construct whatever is required of us. But we think it's a very good idea to go through that.
With the hindsight of the past 12 turbulent months globally that we've been seeing, what would you change as CFO of Arab Tech?
I mean, no one could predict the severity of how severe the situation was, because it's not you, it's the whole world collapsing around you. It's like a big tsunami hitting us all the time. I mean, if the banks didn't suffer, we would not be in this situation. Of course, I can always say they have a big role to play in the disaster that we have helped, that was caused by what's happening there. I wouldn't, I mean, honestly, because I mean, we went through this many times in our minds. We do all sorts of scenarios and planning and the board and so on. And we weren't ready to move anywhere else, for example. We couldn't move to Saudi Arabia because the market wasn't ready. We couldn't move to other places and so on. We had so much work on our hand that we want to complete, and we still do. I mean, if we are to finish everything we started in Dubai, we still need another 2 to 3 years anyway. That's assuming no more work is coming, which the signs are that more work is coming. So in hindsight, you can always say, I should have and I shouldn't.
I could have and I should have.
But I mean, one of the biggest things that we had, because anticipation of the growth, that we invested heavily in steel stock, because we had all sorts of projects coming that basically some of those projects disappeared, but we're now managing it very well. We're moving some to Abu Dhabi, some to Qatar, some to Saudi Arabia. So you can always say, if we didn't, it would have, but it doesn't matter. I mean,
so you're expanding. Ziad, now, you were born in Beirut, you lived in the UK for a large part of your life, and you went to, you did your MBA there as well. So what drove you to business school?
Well, I mean, I started my career as an engineer, like most young boys. I think they like to fix things and play with toys and so on, and that's probably the biggest toy of all, that, you know, you get into something, you build it, or you fix it, or you ruin it. And this is how I got into engineering. I mean, specifically electronics, because I like designing things and the math part of it and the physics. I was, you know, blowing things up, experimenting when I was young and stuff. And so I did my engineering degree in Manchester, although I was technically on my way to Stanford because I was accepted there, and Stanford has one of the best engineering schools, but I thought England is convenient. I've always supported Manchester United, so that was an easy choice to make.
Yeah.
After I finished my electronics degree, I went, like most people my age, my generation, went and worked in the Middle East, hoping that I'll go back and finish my PhD. And freak accident, or is it fate, I decided to do an MBA in finance instead, although both schools were next to each other.
So you did your MBA in that, then after that it naturally led you to consultancy. So where did you end up consulting, and what was the biggest turnaround you handled in that job? Can you tell us, give us a name?
Well, I was headhunted by Booz Allen Hamilton, which then was the biggest consulting firm in the world, specifically to do work in the Middle East because of my background and so on. And we did two major projects. One of them was designing what they call the public services system for Yanbu Industrial City, which was then a $70-odd billion investment, and we're talking about the 80s now. So that was a major project that we've handled. So there was a team of us who spent about a year and a half helping them structure all the services that are required, the government and so on. And the second big project that I was fortunate to work on was advising the Saudi Arabian Monetary Agency, SAMA, because they had three major development banks. One was the industrial fund, one was the real estate, and one was the agriculture fund, that were really the engines behind driving the economy, be it industry, be it real estate, which was important as in a growing country.
Okay, well, you're mentioning Saudi Arabia. Let me just pick up on that point. And so after years abroad, you came full circle and you came home to the Middle East. So why did you come to the Middle East? Were you yearning for the sunshine, or on a more serious note, was it your passion for emerging markets that ignited for you to come back here to the Middle East?
Well, it's a bit of everything, really. I mean, we are born in the Middle East. We're very proud of being Middle Eastern people. Arabic language and our culture is very important. I mean, London, New York, and Paris are great places to do, but I guess at a certain stage in your life, when your family is older, you want to go back to your roots. And the Middle East is there. I mean, it needs people with our experience and our expertise. So if you look at the options, Dubai was the first choice because of the standards of living here, the location, the security, the safety, the entertainment, the fun bit.
Okay, well, let's keep it about you right now. You've been here since, you were saying 1985. What surprised you the most about Dubai?
How quickly it changes. I mean, I remember in '85, the first time we came, the tallest building was the Trade Center. And I used to drive around and get lost, and whenever you look, you can see it. Now it's dwarfed by amazing buildings, and what I love is driving down Sheikh Zayed, and you see this incredible architecture that is everywhere. You go into hotels, and they are better than most hotels in Europe and in the US. And most important is people are polite and they're service-oriented. And I feel extremely safe. You know, this is what I like about Dubai.
What achievement are you most proud?
Personally, or as a company? I mean, of living, I mean, of having a good, healthy family that we are very close, of working and having good friends, and working in a place where, although I'm westernized and I love New York and Paris and London, and I felt extremely proud to be living in Dubai during Ramadan, for example, you know, going occasionally to the mosque and listening to what the changes are, and going into a shopping mall and see all sorts of people, from people who are extremely open and boisterous to people who are extremely conservative and covered. So.
We wish you every continued success with everything that you choose to do. Ziad Makhzoumi, CFO of Airtech, thank you very much for your time and your frankness, and we hope to see you again on Dubai Tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to all our viewers at home, thank you for watching Dubai Tonight. To catch any of our shows, please log on to our website, that's dubai1.ae. Continue to send us your comments, questions, anything you have to say via email. That's on dubaitonight@dmi.ae. Thanks for watching and see you next time.